Okay, welcome to my channel today. In today's tutorial, we are going to be looking at the anatomy of the circulatory system. So if you look out here, I actually left the lungs because I want you to have the appreciation of how these pulmonary arteries and veins move into the lungs to get the blood oxygenated. Okay, so I'm going to be showing, let me show the inside of how the inside looks like. Okay, so when you look deeply inside, you can actually see the veins and the arteries. Okay, you can see the arteries and the veins inside there. So I actually want you to see it because I'm going to be explaining more on this. So I want you to take note of it. Okay, so let's remove the lungs so we can actually concentrate on the heart. We are going to digest everything about the heart today. So looking at the heart have four chambers. So these four chambers are the left ventricle, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the right atrium. So these are the four chambers of the heart. So when you look at this one, this muscle we are seeing here is the right ventricle. Superior to it is what? The right atrium. Okay, superior to it is the right atrium. So this right atrium collect blood from all parts of the body. That is what deoxygenated back to the heart. You understand? So you can see that there are two blood vessels. Okay, we have the vena cava, which we have the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. When you look at the down part here, that's the inferior vena cava. So this one actually collect blood from the lower extremities, the abdomen, the lower extremities, okay, back to the heart. And then the one up here, that's the superior vena cava. It receive blood from the upper part of the body, the chest, the head, the brain, okay, the upper arms. It receive blood from all these parts and then back to the atrium, to the right atrium. So the blood from the right atrium then move back, it then move to the right ventricle. And then what this right ventricle here does is that it pump the blood to the lungs to get oxygenated. Okay, and it does so by pumping the blood through this vein here we call what? The pulmonary trunk. And what this pulmonary trunk does is that it divides into two, forming these two what? Forming the two vessels there actually move the blood to what? To each part of the lungs. And that is why I said I wanted to show you about the lung. You can see that the pulmonary trunk divided into two, moving to each part of the moving to each lung. You see, so that is what happened. So when this blood get to the lungs, it get oxygenated, and what happened is that it have to what? It have to return back to the heart to be pumped to all parts of the body, and it does so by what? Moving back to the heart through these arteries, these pulmonary veins, these veins here. Okay, so it passed through these veins back to the what? To the left atrium here. So this one here we are seeing is what? The left atrium. You can have a proper look at it. That's the left atrium. So it returned back to the heart from this what? Into what? Into this left atrium. So the left atrium, blood from the left atrium then moved to the what? To the left ventricle. And from this left ventricle here, the left ventricle then pump the blood to all parts of the body. Okay, through this vessel here we call the aortic arc. So this aortic arc, you can actually see that you have three branching facing upward or pointing upward. So these branches here actually supply the upper part of the body, and the one we are seeing down here, this reddish this thing here, we call the what? We call this one here the descending aorta. This one supply the what? The abdomen and the lower extremities. Okay, it supply the abdomen and the lower extremities. So now let's have a look at these smaller branches. These smaller branches here, we call them the coronary arteries. Okay, you know, the heart is actually saving the other parts of the body, but don't forget, when you are saving other people, you have to save yourself too. So what happens is that the heart also needs oxygen to be able to function well. Without oxygen, the muscles of the heart would die. So the heart also get its oxygen or its blood. Okay, it get oxygen from the blood through these smaller veins here, which we call the coronary artery. So when you look at the arteries, we have the coronary artery. This one here is the left coronary artery, and this one here is the what? The right coronary artery. Okay, and you also have veins. Okay, it also have veins. But I want you to take a look at this. When you look at this one, the coronary arteries, they are arteries. You understand? They are arteries, and then they carry blood. Okay, they carry this blood to the what? They carry blood from the left. This one here, the aortic arc. You know, this blood from this aortic arc is moving to all parts of the body. So the blood from there then move some of the blood because of the pressure. Some of the blood will actually move into these smaller arteries here to supply the heart. So you can see they all have connection with what? The aortic arc, so that the heart will also get the oxygenated blood. So when you look at this blue color distinct arteries here, we call this one the veins. So this vein here is called the great cardiac vein, and you can see it is actually lying on the what? The left ventricle. Take note of them. The great cardiac vein is lying on the what? The left ventricle. So now let's have a look at this. We also have this one here, this smaller one here. We call what? Posterior vein of the left ventricle. That is the posterior vein of the left ventricle. We also have another one here, this smaller one here. I don't know if I can touch it properly. Okay, this one here, that's the middle cardiac vein. So the veins are actually three, but the arteries are two. So we have this one, the middle cardiac vein. We also have this one, that this one here lying on. So all of them, they all lie on, they almost all of them lie on the what? The left ventricle. But there are other ones, they have branches that supply to the what? The right. All of them, they have branches that supply the right. And this one here, we call it the coronary sinus. And when you look at it closely, all these veins carry deoxygenated blood, as we know. And all the deoxygenated blood have to move to the what? The right atrium. So you can actually see here that, let me make this one light. You can actually see that all these veins, the smaller veins, all of them, they all drain to the what? The coronary sinus. And the coronary sinus have a connection with the what? The right atrium here. Let me make this one light. So you can see that it have a connection with what? The right atrium, which is here. This one here is the right atrium. So all these smaller branches, they all drain to the coronary sinus, and this sinus have its connection with what? The right atrium. And we remember that the right atrium actually received the oxygenated blood from all parts of the body. So after receiving all this blood, what it does is that the blood from the right atrium will then move to the left ventricle through these smaller arteries inside there. Let me show that one. So let me click on this, then let me remove the left ventricle, let me remove the right ventricle, so we can actually see the inside. Okay, so let me come. So looking at it, we can see this one here, which we call the tricuspid valve. The tricuspid valve is actually what links the right atrium here to the left to the right ventricle. Okay, so blood from the right atrium move to the right ventricle through this one, tricuspid valve. And this is a valve, and this valve actually prevent the backflow of blood from the ventricle, because we all know that the ventricle pump blood under pressure. So after it is shaped in a way that it prevent blood from the ventricle moving back to the right atrium. And we know that when blood enter into the right ventricle, the right ventricle pump it to the heart to get oxygenated through the pulmonary artery. Okay, so we can actually see that this is the pulmonary artery, and it is actually connected to the right ventricle. Okay, but it also have these valves. You can see the valve is actually shaped in a tree-like stool. And what the importance of this is that when you look at it, pressure from the ventricle, it is very easy for blood to move inside. But blood from the what? The blood from the pulmonary trunk find it difficult coming back because of the way it is what? Because of the way it is shaped. Okay? Because of the shape of it. I don't know if you are appreciating this. Okay? Because of the shape, blood from the what? The pulmonary trunk find difficult coming back. But blood from the right ventricle find it easy to go inside. So when this blood go in there and get oxygenated, they return back to the heart. All of them return back to the heart, into the what? The left atrium. And we can actually see that. We can see that this is the left ventricle. This one here is the left ventricle. But when you look inside, it also have a valve. Let me remove the left ventricle so we can see what is there. So it also have a valve. This one is called the mitral valve. So the mitral valve is directly connected to the left atrium, and blood from the left atrium move to the left ventricle through this mitral valve. And what this mitral valve also does is that it prevents blood from what? The backflow of blood from what? The ventricle, the left ventricle, back to the what? The left atrium. But remember, blood from here is what? Oxygenated. So the left ventricle also, what it also does is that it pumps the blood out to all parts of the body. Through what? Through this aortic arc. And all of them have this what's the name? They all have this valves. You can see the valve in green. So that's the aortic valve. They are all shaped in the same way. And what they does is that they prevent the backflow of blood to the what? To the heart. Okay. So now when you look properly, you can actually see this thing. You can actually see that the vein, which is this one. Let me see if I can show it properly. Okay, we can see that this is the left atrium, and the left atrium is connected by what? This arteries here, which are the pulmonary veins. And remember, these pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood. Okay, they carry oxygenated blood. Okay, we also have these smaller things here, which we call the papillary muscles. What this papillary muscle is that they straighten the what? Distance. They straighten the valves. Okay, they straighten the valves. And we also have this one here. We have the myocardium, and this myocardium, what it does is that that is the separation between the right and the left ventricle. It separates the right and the left ventricle and also prevent the mixing of blood. So that's what it does. Okay. And as I said earlier, this one here is what? The descending aorta, and what it does is that it supplies the lower extremities. Okay, it supplies the lower extremities. And I also want you to take note of what? The coronary arteries. Very important. When you look at these coronary arteries, they do wonders. Okay, they actually do wonders. And you have to know how they connect, because you can see that all these are the arteries, and they get their blood from what? This aortic arc, because blood from there is what? Oxygenated. And all the veins in there, they are all connected to this coronary sinus here. Let me see if I can touch it. This coronary sinus, and the coronary sinus actually carry the blood all the way back to the right atrium. And when this blood enters into the right atrium, it then move to the what? The right ventricle to pump to the lung to get oxygenated. So the heart is actually saving other parts of the body, but it's not also forgetting about its own self. And this is a very important lesson, that everybody, if you are saving people, you make sure that you save your own self too. So that's what happened. uh I'm very happy that you stay to this point, and if there is any mistakes, we are all learning, you can uh put it in the comment section. I will actually attend to you. Thank you for tuning today, and have a wonderful day.